Hi, and welcome to What's This For? Episode 2. Are you a guitarist who finds it hard to find people to play with? Can't find a drummer, can't find a bass, can't find a keyboard player? Well, I've got something that may help you, so just stick around. Cheers. G'day folks, how you doing? As a guitarist, I'm often looking for a drummer or a bass player or a keyboard player, and sometimes it's very hard to find them. And there's lots of different ways you can do this with GarageBand, etc. But we're going to look at some pedals that guitarists can use and can buy. All of these have been around for a very long time. You can buy some of them new, probably all of them new, but you can get them on the used market. I like using used pedals and used equipment because really you're not paying premium for them, and if you decide to get rid of them, you don't lose too much money out of them. So that's important for a lot of us, to get cost effective. So we're going to talk about the Digitech range, which is here at the back. We're going to talk about the ELECTRO HARMONIX range, which is the two side ones, and the Boss. So the Trio Band Creator, this one here on your left is the newer version. They've been around for a very long time, but it's the newer version which has a looper in it. It has a bass and it has a drum kit. The one in the middle, which is this one here, is the original one without a looper. So what you do is you play a phrase with your guitar into it. You record your start and your end time is very important. You've got to be in the pocket for that. And you can't play too complicated, but I'll talk about that later. And then what it does, it looks at the chords that you've just put in the chord progression, and then it automatically creates a drum beat and a bass line. And then going through all these genres here, you've got hip hop and rock one and jazz, etc. There are more options on the newer version. There are less on the other. So it's a generative tool to create drum beats and bass. So that's what these two black ones here do. And this one at the back of the SDRUM is actually just a drum machine. Now, and what it does, you can actually strum. You program your guitar to strum, a foot pedal and a snare, or you can actually tap the buttons. Now, just quickly, I'll go into it later. I personally wouldn't use these three pedals live. I wouldn't use them, but you can use them for sampling. You can use them for practice. You can use them for putting them into a DAW or some other recorder. So those three at the back generate bass and or drums. So the two here on the left, which is the K9 and the B9, basically you put your guitar into them and then it modifies your guitar into various basses. I'll talk about what, but there's a whole range, and then there's some keys. Now, I don't think they're the best sounds, but in a mix you could get away with it, and just for practicing you could get away for it, and for creating ideas you could get away with it. The SY1 takes in a guitar. This is a Boss pedal, the blue one. It takes in a guitar input, and then you've got a whole lot of things so you can make it sound a little bit like strings or a little bit like a keyboard. It's not, I don't think it's foolproof, and I don't think they're like overwhelmingly great. You're not going to replace your keyboard. The drums are pretty good. Your bass are reasonably good on these, but I don't think you'll replace people. They're really for quick ideas, or for practicing and just getting ideas down. Hi, and welcome to What's This For? Episode 2. So in this particular setup, what I've got here is the Band Creator Trio Plus. There was an older one which I bought a long time ago, which is still pretty good, but this one here has got no looper, but this one allows you to actually grab a loop from your playing and introduce it into the mix. And then this one here is called the SDRUM. The SDRUM itself has no bass, but it does a reasonably good job of creating a drum. And what you do is you can either use the fingers, like you can finger tap like you can on one of these, or what you can do is connect your guitar, and then as your guitar comes in, you train this. So you've got to learn feel, and you train it to, for example, if you're going to use your E string as a kick, and then your high string as a as a what do you call it, a snare. Or you can train like the first three can be like a kick, and then the other ones can be a snare. So the idea is you capture some playing very tightly. You record on the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the 1 you close. Same with the other ones, and it'll give you drums only. So these two are pretty much similar. They're not identical, but they're similar. I personally, if I was going to buy one, if you find one of these, the Plus, it's much better because it allows you a loop. It'll generate a bass and it'll generate a drums. So let's just see how that works. So what I'm going to do is put it in learning mode. Now, look, I've got this set up so it captures the first sequence, but you can actually capture sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3, sequence 4, etc., up to 5 sequences. So what that means is you can program a sequence to be like an introduction, a verse, a chorus, a bridge, and an outro. You can choose whatever you want, of course, and it depends the song you want to make. Then what you do is you choose, I've chosen here, which could be an intro or a verse at number 1, and it's clear at the moment. Then you choose what kind of drums you would like, drums and bass you want. So in this case, I'm just going to do a rock. But you can by turning this around, I can choose, if you can see there's jazz, there's Latin, etc. So I'm just going to go on rock. And at the moment, I'm going to go for the basic 4 on the floor, a 4/4. But depending on how I play, I'm going to play through this here. There we go, so it's ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You can hear it, it's generated a bass. And one of the things I'm going to say here is if you play very complicated pieces in the learning phase, so we just did the learning phase through here, it'll actually try its best to work out what you've done. But my observation is that you always do the introduction really simply, like I just did then. So I could have tried to go. Now, if I was that complicated, the trio might have a hard time working out. But just by doing the G, and then it goes to A. I did put just a pinky there, which is like a 7. So playing simply in the beginning, it then came up, it's going to start off now. So on pattern 1, which in this case is an intro or a verse, you'll hear now, it'll play. I can put the drums up or the bass. And I can change the patterns. You can hear the patterns changing. Now I do alt rock. Then go back to the beginning. So you can see you can put a fill in for me, those drums had to put. So the reason so what I've done now is I've created a memory or a sequence of notes, if you like, and a rhythm sort of. And in its memory, it's recorded what I've done, and then it's going to extrapolate, depending on what I choose here, some background. So the next thing I can do is, now that I've got that in there, I'm going to go to the looper side, and I'm going to put that on standby. So let's put the looper on standby. Now, what I'm going to play is not the full song. I'm actually just going to play a little bit of accompaniment so that when I play the song, it'll complement it. So here, I'm not sure what I'll play. Now, it's going to wait for a signal, and then it'll just start recording, and it'll play the original sequence that I just put in. So I'm just going to go. and it's going to play both entries. So I'll just turn that down so I can talk. So I've got a loop now, which is just that. So I've just put something in there that gels the rhythm and the chords, like an arpeggio if you like, the bass. Now I'll just say right now, I don't think the bass is the best bass. I find it monotonous, but you can actually put the bass on its own through here if you want to record it on Cubase or Ableton, or if you want to put it through something that's going to record stems. So if you're going to use stems, I would put the bass on its own. So I turn these down, and then I'd stop it, and then I would, for example, just start that, have that waiting for a cue. Let me just put that there so you can see it. So you don't have to worry about this unit here, but whether you're using a PC or a 8-track recorder or a 16-track recorder, whatever, all that's happening here is I'm arming this to wait for a signal. And then when it gets a signal, it's going to record the bass. Now, if I had put this in fact, let's just do that. I was recording into a DAW or to something else. I could actually let's say I like this bass. So I just stop it and I would arm my digital audio workstation or my recording. Now this thing, I've set it up so that when I start playing, it's going to pick up whatever comes through and only the bass will come through. So watch here now. I'm going to kick it and watch this record, and one, so it's... So I've got this recording a clean bass stem. It's not actually recording me at the moment talking, or my guitar, because I've got my guitar muted. Now I'm timing. Dum, bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just let a little bit play, and then I'm going to stop it. And what I'm going to do now, if I'll just edit that and normalize it. Let me just normalize it. Don't worry about what I'm doing here. This is not part of the instruction, but I've just normalized that pattern there. And here I've got... So if I wanted to create a backing track, I would actually use that processed bass, which I like better. But let's not worry about that now. Let's go back to the clean. So we're not using this at all. And so let's just go back to sampler clean. And what I'm doing now is I'm just going to show you why this is good to practice. Let's hear some drums. Let's turn this off. Actually, that's interesting as well. You can actually process your drums if you want through a guitar pedal. That's got a delay. I don't particularly like those delays. So I won't worry about that. Okay, so let's hear. So now I'm ready to use the backing track completely off this unit. I'm not going to use any outside processing. And let's just hear what it's got to say. I'm going to put it on rock, 1, and start. To the beginning again. So I think that's probably enough for that. So I've created verse 1. Then if I wanted to, I could, let's do it. I'll actually do it because it's good for the tutorial. I'm not going to do the part where it sings she's a honky tonk woman, and I'm going to set it up so that it listens to me what I want to play on the guitar. So I'm going to go as soon as I start playing my guitar, it's going to start recording that sequence in sequence 2. Okay, so it's she's a And the next up, so I've got a drum and bass sequence based on these two parameters here. And I'm going to now put, just got to think about what do I want to put in the background. So it's maybe a bit more energy for a chorus. See how it stopped automatically just then? So now I have a sequence 1, which is here, which was the first one I played, which was a verse. And here is the chorus, She's a Honky Tonk Woman. So let's just hear what that sounds like. I'll turn them all up, put that a bit louder. Now for the solo, I've just worked out by playing that, the solo will actually be on this one. So later on, there's a way you can sequence these. You're going to play a verse, then you're going to play chorus, and then you're going to go back to this one, which is a verse, but actually, from memory, I'm just doing it now, it's probably going to sound, it's going to be the solo. So let's just do that. So that's probably enough of that. Let me just, let's just do a debrief what we've learned here. So first we put it on pattern, oh, okay, I won't go into what that means. So first we went into pattern 1, and then we recorded a sequence of notes, which was the verse. It generated drums, it generated bass. Then we did a second recording where I did like some arpeggios of the same chords, with a little bit more energy than I recorded the first time, and just to glue it all together. Then we created a chorus using sequence 2. Then what we did was we entered a pattern which it worked out drums and bass for, and then I did a loop which was an arpeggio, sort of just a little bit of glue in the background with a little bit more energy for a chorus that we wanted. So that now it's created a backing track for the verse and the chorus, and then I can play over it, and if I was a good singer, I would sing. So we haven't changed any of these yet. So normally you would start off with, you know, whatever the genre is, rock, and you would go to like 1. So here, for example, I'm now going to play this and see what different variations it comes up for the drum and bass, and see what suits the song. You wanted something a bit more. Let's do rhythm and blues. That's a rhythm and blues, R&B, and then sequence 2, or pattern 2. Get the idea. There we go. So I'll stop it there. Now, what I want to say is that you can use this here to do that, but you won't have as many options. So here, for example, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe, you know, half a dozen genres, which some of them are here, but this has got extra. For example, I can see country, country's there. I can see hip hop, E-pop, metal maybe, so they don't exist on this one, but it's just it was the early precursor to the other one. This was the precursor, and this was the slightly better one. And then just as a comparison, I won't run this one at the moment, I'll do it later if anyone asks for it, but this SDRUM, or the SDRUM, will accepts inputs exactly the same way as the other one, but it won't play bass. All it will do is play hi-hats and rides and a groove kit. Okay, so you've got 4-4-3-4, simple, busy pop, brush, percussion. So they're types of drums, and then different types of hats and rides, because to be honest, if the hats and rides don't fit your song, it's going to sound a little bit wonky. So that's probably it. I'm still getting used to my cameras and a process and a workflow to get these done. I'm not going to do a lot of processing with these. I think just getting the content out is going to be more important than trying to perfect it. Later on, if this is popular, I'll do bigger and better videos. But right now, I'll just stick with this and look forward to you on the other side. I'm going to do a quick comparison of some other pedals that the guitarist can use. Cheers. Hi, and welcome back. So what we've done now is I've got the same setup that I had last time, but I'm going to erase this looper, or just maybe play over the top of it. And I want to introduce the Electro HARMONIX. There's about 4 or 5 in the series, but there's a key 9, which you play guitar notes into it, and then out of that will come different types of synths or keyboards. And then there's a bass B9. So what that does is it takes a signal from a guitar and then turns it into some kind of a bass. So you can see there's a whole lot of different things there. I don't mind these pedals. I don't think they're unreal, but in the context that I'm looking at here is really just to create backing tracks for you, or for practice, or even just for sampling or creating your own loops and beats. It's something that I like doing. Not all guitarists will do that. But the point is, in the hip hop community, for example, which I'm not part of that community, but I really like their techniques, sampling techniques. I don't believe, I've got thousands of records and CDs especially. I don't believe in copying other people's content and then putting it on. If you go through clearance, it's perfectly fine. But if you don't do it, I just, personally, it's not something I want to do. So what I like to do is, this is one method that I use. I've got other guitar synthesizers, all sorts, and I'll talk about them later if you're interested. But I like being able to put a direct guitar signal. So you might see in the reflection here, I've just got this is a Telecaster Cabronita with, what do you call these? P90s or whatever they call these. But I quite like this. I got this in Texas in a very famous San Antonio store, but I won't say which one. But I really love this guitar. I think it's great, and I love how it's really light. Now, just using like a telly, I'm putting in a clean signal. I'm purposely not using an acoustic here because the acoustic will be picked up on this microphone here. And what I'm doing is I'm playing 3, which is Suitcase, which I quite like. Now you can do all sorts of settings. You can hear that's, And then in the context of this song, so what is it playing? Let's do the verse. So in the context of the song, maybe I need to turn this up a little bit. We'll see. Actually, if I do that, it'll turn it up. So actually the mix is not right, so I'd have to play a little bit better, turn down the drums, turn down the bass. I wasn't happy with the mix. But what I wanted to demonstrate more importantly than getting the mix right is I can get keyboard sounds in the loop, in the trio looper. This is mallets. I don't really want to use mallets. I think that's like a Hammond, I'm not sure. So then you've got 88. And then you've got like I don't mind whirly sounds, and I don't mind the Rhodes type sounds. Not really into steel drums, so this would be a. And then you've got organs. Sometimes organs can be good. Now, when you're playing keys, you don't normally bend notes, so you have to be careful with that. There's vibes. So if you say, for example, you're doing some hip hop and you want to or high, I think it needs a bit more volume. Okay, so on the same vein, even though we have got a bass, so we've recorded this bass through the looper. I told you I'm not really that happy with the bass. Now, of course, you can play a real bass on your sequencer or whatever you're creating your backing tracks on, but you can actually use one of these. So I've turned this off in the chain, so that's not sending a signal through. But some of these are actually interesting, so that's actually quite nice. So that one's on setting 5, which is virtual. I'm not sure what virtual means, but you can find that in the setting manual. So you can see now, I could actually record in here. You can see the signal coming through. This green one's coming up to the top here. So you can actually create a bass that's different from this trio one and make it your own. So I won't go into all of these settings. There's people who talk about these online better, but I just want to show you what's this for. I mean, if you're a guitarist and you're trying to create your own backing tracks, you want to practice, or you want to create your own hip-hop loops, which I would personally create my own hip-hop loops, and then you can do all sorts of bit crashing and whatever to make them sound really, you know, 1980s and gritty. These tools that I've been in episode 2 are what you would use. So what are these for? Earlier on, I showed you the trio, the older trio, and the SDRUM, and I also showed you the Electro HARMONIX B9 and K9, and there's a few others like synth. There's also this synth pedal, for example. So here I could add a synth pedal, and in fact I'll do that next. And I want to show you that when you create your stems, whether it's on a digital audio workstation or a piece of hardware like this, or a 12-track recorder or a 16-track recorder, the idea is that you can play stuff in the background, and then you can add interesting versions. So what I just played, the way I played that Rolling Stones song, it's not the original way to play it. I think there's an interesting way of tuning a guitar to get the sound that he uses. But that was just my own version. And then I also break into a bit of a, when I used to play this song, I used to go into like a Robin Ford type, what do you call it, progression. But that's not something you can find backing tracks necessarily on the internet or karaoke tracks or whatever, where you want to practice or play to live. So you have to create your own backing tracks to do that. And that's why I found having interesting sounds, different sounds, is really good. So just before we close up, I am going to put this synthesizer in, and I just want to show you it does a reasonable job. You know, trying to play keyboards and trying to play synthesizers like this on a guitar, you have to be careful. When you're playing these notes, you got to pluck the strings rather than strum them. No piano player plays like that. But what they do is like it's a little bit muffled. Maybe this one. So you can emulate playing a keyboard player, but you won't be strumming it. You won't be bending strings. Doesn't really sound right. So you need to be playing like the instrument. Even though you're playing guitar, you need to be playing. Bass is pretty good. Synthesizer, again, you know, they do have little whammy bars on the left equivalent. So let's put this on here, what it's like, and then we'll end it. This is episode 2, so I'm still learning to use the gear, but I promise I'm going to get better. Cheers. Hi, and welcome back to the third part of the demonstration, where we've used the drum and bass and the key 9 and the bass 9. So now we're going to use this synthesizer pedal. Now there's a few different ones. There's a much bigger SY Boss. I personally use the GR55, which is a guitar synth, which is a Roland synth. And I've got other equipment as well, but This is really good because it fits on a pedal board, so you could theoretically use it live, but I think you need to really experiment and know what your settings are. So just quickly, you've got a bell sound. So that's a bell sound. You've got, actually that was a SFX bell. Got all these weird, and that's a string. And I think by adjusting these, I get a different dry mix, etc. So you put guitar in. So you can hear nice sound. That's actually not a bad sound. We might come back to that one. That's like a string one. There's a bass, which is like one of those acid basses. This here is a pad. And then you've got different pads. I'm just going to put it back because I liked that one before. And then this one's a lead. So this will be like a single wood note. You know, it depends if you want that kind of sound in your song. I don't always want that kind of sound. So just going back to strings, I sort of like this. It's a nice little pad sound, what they would call a pad. So again, we're going to play the verse, and it's going to go a meta, that bit there. So maybe just one more different one. There you go. So that was enough of demonstration. So we demonstrated a guitar signal coming in and being able to be modified to sound. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do another video because I'm really pushed for time, but I just got back from work and I wanted to do this quickly. So let's just go back to what we did before. What is this for? Earlier on, we mentioned that we've got the band, the trio band, creator and looper. There's the old school one, which doesn't have as many options and doesn't have a looper. And you have an SDRUM, which I haven't actually shown you, but think of the drum section. This is dedicated, this one here is dedicated for drums. Then finally, we did a synthesizer, and we did a verse sequence, and we did a chorus sequence. We put a first recording of really simple notes to get the verse in. Then we put some arpeggiation on the looper. And then on the second chorus, we did very simple notes to get the drums and bass happening. And then we put in a looper. And at all stages, we could change the style of the drumming and bass and the style of the genre of drumming and bass. And we didn't touch on this. You can actually change the tempo, but I probably wouldn't change this while you're doing this. In fact, what I didn't do is you can actually start the sequence with the previous click track, but that's a little bit more advanced, but you can absolutely do it. So you can have all of these on the same click track, but we didn't go into that info. So what are these for? If you're a struggling musician and nobody loves you and nobody wants to work with you, you can't find a keyboard player, you can't find a bass player and drum player. Well, you know what? There are a few beautiful tools out there which are in a hardware format. So you've got GarageBand and all these other things if you're an Apple user. But I really love this sequence of using these type of pedals and the H9 and the bass 9 that I showed before. And they are really good tools. So what they're for, they're actually for us musicians who are lonely and can't find a band to play with. This is my second video. What's this for? Please let me know if there's something you want to see. If I've got something, I've got a bit of gear, and if I've got something similar or the gear that you want, I'll actually do a video for you. Cheers and big ears. Catch you later.